Written by Betty Schrumpfer Azar from Understanding and Using English Grammar, today we delve into the fascinating realm of English grammar, focusing specifically on the crucial concepts of active and passive voice. These grammatical constructions are fundamental as they determine the relationship between the subject and the action of a sentence. Mastering the use of both active and passive voices empowers writers to construct sentences that are not only clear and concise, but also impactful and engaging. Active voice is the most common and straightforward form of sentence construction in English. In an active sentence, the subject performs the action expressed by the verb, making the sentence direct and dynamic. For example, consider the sentence, "The dog chased the ball." Here, dog is the subject, chased is the verb, and ball is the object. The subject, dog, is actively performing the action of chasing, making the sentence vivid and clear. On the other hand, passive voice is used when the focus is on the action being performed rather than the doer of the action. In a passive sentence, the subject receives the action, which can shift the focus of the sentence. For example, the ball was chased by the dog. Here, ball is the subject, was chased is the verb in passive voice, and dog is the object of the preposition by. Notice how the focus has shifted to the ball being acted upon rather than the dog doing the action. Distinguishing between active and passive voice is essential for clear and effective communication. Active voice generally leads to more direct, concise, and engaging sentences, making it the preferred choice in most writing. However, passive voice serves specific purposes, such as emphasizing the action or the recipient of the action, and can be particularly useful in scientific writing or when the doer is unknown or irrelevant. For instance, in scientific writing, you might encounter sentences like, "The experiment was conducted to test the hypothesis," where the focus is on the experiment rather than who conducted it. Understanding when to use active or passive voice allows writers to balance clarity and emphasis, enhancing the overall quality of their writing. By practicing and mastering these concepts, writers can improve their ability to communicate effectively and persuasively in any context. Why is it so important to understand the difference between active and passive voice? This fundamental aspect of writing can significantly alter the way your message is perceived. The answer lies in the impact these choices have on your writing. The voice you choose can either draw readers in or push them away. Active voice, with its subject-verb-object structure, creates a sense of immediacy and clarity. It makes your writing straightforward and easy to follow. It's like watching a live-action scene unfold. You see who's doing what. The action is clear and direct, making the narrative more compelling. Consider this example. The chef prepared the meal. This sentence is direct and to the point. Immediately, you understand the chef is the one taking action. The subject is clear and the action is evident. Now let's switch to passive. The meal was prepared by the chef. Notice how the focus shifts. While grammatically correct, the sentence loses its punch. The emphasis is no longer on the chef, but on the meal. The focus shifts from the active chef to the passive meal. This subtle change can alter the reader's engagement with the text. This distinction matters because writing that relies heavily on passive voice can feel clunky and indirect. It can make your writing seem less dynamic. Readers might struggle to follow who's doing what, especially in longer sentences. This can lead to confusion and a lack of interest. Active voice, on the other hand, keeps your writing dynamic and engaging. It ensures that your readers stay interested and can easily follow the narrative. Active voice is the preferred choice for most writing situations. It is a powerful tool that helps writers convey their thoughts in a straightforward manner. Its strength lies in its ability to convey information directly and concisely. This makes it easier for readers to grasp the main point without any confusion. When you use active voice, the subject of your sentence is directly performing the action. This active construction keeps the reader engaged and makes the writing more dynamic. This creates a clear subject-verb relationship that is easy for readers to follow. It eliminates ambiguity and ensures that the message is understood as intended. Imagine you are reading a news article. The clarity of the writing can significantly impact your understanding and retention of the information. Which sentence would you find more impactful? The mayor announced a new policy, or a new policy was announced by the mayor. The difference in impact is noticeable. The first sentence, written in active voice, immediately tells you who took action. This directness is what makes active voice so effective. It is direct and to the point. There is no room for misinterpretation, and the message hits the target with precision. The clarity of active voice is particularly important in academic writing, technical documents, and any other form of communication where precision is key. It ensures that complex ideas are presented in an understandable way. By using active voice, you can ensure that your message is conveyed clearly and effectively to your audience. This not only enhances comprehension, but also makes your writing more engaging and impactful. While active voice is often preferred for its clarity, passive voice has its place in effective writing. It is not inherently incorrect. Rather, it serves a different purpose. Passive voice is used when the focus is on the action itself or the recipient of the action, rather than the doer. For instance, consider the sentence, "The experiment was conducted in a controlled environment." Here, the emphasis is on the fact that the experiment was conducted in a specific way, rather than who conducted it. The agent performing the action is not important in this context. Passive voice can also be used to create a more formal or objective tone. For example, in scientific writing, it is common to use passive voice to describe methods or results, as it creates a sense of objectivity and removes personal bias. Now that we have discussed the characteristics of active and passive voice, let's look at how to identify them in sentences. The key is to look for the relationship between the subject and the verb. Active sentence structure: subject plus verb plus object. For example, the cat, subject, chased, verb, the mouse, object. Passive sentence structure: object of the active verb plus be verb plus past participle of the main verb plus by plus agent. For example, the mouse, object, was chased, be verb plus past participle, by the cat, agent. By analyzing the sentence structure and identifying the subject, verb, and object, you can determine whether a sentence is in active or passive voice. Converting sentences from active to passive voice involves a specific set of steps. 1. Identify the object of the active verb. This will become the subject of the passive sentence. 2. Insert the appropriate form of the verb to be before the main verb. The form of be should match the tense of the active verb. 3. Change the main verb to its past participle form. 4. Add the preposition by after the past participle. This is optional and introduces the agent performing the action. 5. Move the subject of the active verb to the end of the sentence, preceded by which is optional. For example, active: the artist painted the portrait. 1. Object portrait. 2. Be verb plus past participle was painted. 3. By plus agent, optional. By the artist, passive: the portrait was painted by the artist. While active voice is generally preferred, passive voice has its place in effective writing. Here are some situations where passive voice can be used effectively. When the action is more important than the actor. The law was passed in 1964. When the actor is unknown or unimportant, the building was damaged in the storm. To emphasize the receiver of the action, the award was given to the young scientist. To maintain a formal or objective tone, it is generally accepted that, and to vary sentence structure and avoid repetition. By understanding when and how to use passive voice effectively, you can add variety and nuance to your writing. When using active and passive voice, it's important to be aware of common pitfalls. Overusing passive voice can make writing sound dull and indirect. Using passive voice when active voice would be clearer. Choose active voice when possible to maintain clarity. Incorrectly forming passive sentences. Ensure you are using the correct form of the verb to be and the past participle. Using passive voice to avoid responsibility. While passive voice can be used to avoid naming the actor, it should not be used to evade accountability. By being mindful of these pitfalls, you can avoid common mistakes and use active and passive voice effectively. The key to mastering active and passive voice is practice. Here are some exercises you can try. Identify active and passive sentences in a text. Rewrite passive sentences in active voice and vice versa. Write a paragraph using only active voice, then rewrite it using a mix of active and passive. Pay attention to voice when you read. Notice how different authors use active and passive voice to achieve different effects. Regular practice will help you internalize the rules and use active and passive voice effectively in your writing. Mastering the nuances of active and passive voice is essential for effective communication. By understanding the principles outlined in this guide, you can write clearer and more concise sentences. Emphasize specific information effectively. Vary your sentence structure for a more engaging writing style. Adapt your writing to different audiences and purposes. Remember, the key is to use both active and passive voice strategically to achieve your desired effect. With practice and attention to detail, you can master these grammatical constructions and enhance your overall writing and communication skills.